Been sitting probably at least 3 weeks in the trailer. So we're gonna let the electric pump up a little bit. Pull out the choke lever. Put it in neutral. Give it a second. A little more choke. Hold on a sec. Need one more notch of choke. There you go. Too much choke now. Good oil pressure. It's making that sound because it's still choked. This is our 1957 Morgan +4 4-seater special. I call it a special because it has been modified to have the grille and headlights of the 1951 through 53 models. It also has fiberglass cycle fenders, which were produced from molds taken off a well-known West Coast early Morgan race car called Skimpy. You can see the top is in good condition, the paint is in excellent condition. You can see the top is quite roomy inside. The wheels are black painted Cobra wheels. They have a slightly wider offset. This car also has disc brakes. Has a number of modifications. If you look at my Flickr page, you can see most of those details. On front disc brakes, which would have been an option sometime around 1957, but these are clearly aftermarket. The calipers themselves are out of a Morgan +8 or something similar. Notice that the mainspring and the rebound spring have been chromed, and that was done properly so there's no hydrogen embrittlement. The side marker lights would normally have been mounted up here, but since I received this car without the cycle fenders mounted, that's where they were, but it would be a simple matter to move them. There's an alternator conversion. Got what appear to be Greg Solo headers that have been jet hot coated. Notice the high torque electric starter. Battery's brand new as of just a couple of months ago. This has the Super Sports type side scoop, which gives a little bit more clearance. It is possible to get some very, very thin pancake filters mounted on here. This is a Smitty's type muffler. Makes a nice sound, coupled with a resonator that I added in the rear, because when I received it, it had a side exhaust. The interior is all real leather, red with blue piping. Actually, the piping feels like vinyl, but this is leather. The red is leather. Got a St. Christopher's medal, and something I've never seen before on Morgan's was an ashtray. The heater knob, there is no heater mounted, but one will come with it. This is the ignition switch. You can hear the sound of the electric fuel pump. Push button starter. This is the fan switch. The fog light switch, wipers, choke, and dash lights. It's got a Moss gearbox, non-synchro first gear, and a fly-off handbrake. Hopefully you can make that out. I've also added a pair of 12-volt lighter plug type fittings. This also has the under scuttle rollover bar, which was a good safety feature. I added shoulder belts. These are properly anchored. They appear to be mounted in wood, but behind the wood there's a steel strap that goes from here down to the steel chassis. Has a single spare. The steering wheel is in nice condition. There is the typical little bit of play on center of the steering. This is the left and right turn signal switch, what's called an onion switch. I've mounted the side mirrors temporarily to a piece of aluminum angle. This is one of the side curtain mount knobs. It's a good way to block some of the air that flows through here. It actually works better than wind wings. This has folding windshield hardware. You just loosen this knob on either side and flip it forward. I don't use it much because you can't get the bonnet halves open. Another thing I added here is a spring-loaded type ball, like a carburetor linkage ball, on the hood prop. So no more having the wind blow and having these come crashing down and do some damage. It has dual circuit brakes. It has the spin-on oil filter conversion. It has a Mallory Unilite distributor and works perfectly. This is a Morgan Spares fan that I modified to cut the noise level down. And this engine was rebuilt not that long before I bought the car. It has very few miles on it. In fact, when I received it, I thought there was something wrong with it, so I started messing around with the tuning, and a few hundred miles later I realized, oh, it suddenly had more power. So my thought is it simply hadn't completed the break-in process by the time I got it. Notice the 12-point ARP type studs. This is a TR4 capacity engine. If I'm not mistaken, this actually is larger than that. I think it's 87 millimeter pistons as opposed to 86. This is a lead hammer for using on the knockoff hubs. I actually built a wooden one which fits over the knockoffs, and you're able to take them off without doing any damage there. I leave the wiper blades off. It doesn't rain that much here in Texas. I can quickly mount them, but that keeps them out of the sun. I just keep them in the tool tray here. The back seats are a little bit higher than the front seats. I wouldn't recommend riding around in them too much at any speed. There are no seat belts in the back, and there's not a whole lot of wind protection either.